Good evening, ETF fans. Today is the 4th of September, 2024. It is after market close. This is Alex Shepard, one of the founding partners with ETF Action, and for today's daily video insight, I wanted to talk briefly on using a tool called the Fund Comps tool on our site for tax loss harvesting purposes. This is a topic that we have discussed several times over the last several weeks, because many of our clients and financial advisors that use our site, they have approached us and said these are conversations that they are having with their clients, especially as we continue to get closer to the fourth quarter. Providing value in taxable accounts and finding ways to harvest losses in a year where there is a lot of green on the screen can be a tremendous value add, whether that's for a current client or a potential prospect. So for all the investors and professionals out there, a way to use the ETF Action site to do that is if there are any positions that you have at a loss, whether that's throughout the entire year or somewhere over the last several months. Let's start there. So I'm just going to find a position at a loss, a fund at a loss. To do that, I'll go to our ETF databases and I'll go to ETFs. And what we're going to do is all I'm going to do is pull up. So this is the entire ETF US listed ETF marketplace. There is 3,651 funds loaded in this table, and we're just going to sort that by performance. The entire US listed ETF marketplace. Now this includes leverage products, so I just sorted by the last 3 months. So over the last 3 months, the best performing fund, the Direction Daily Regional Banks Bull 3X shares. So the leverage product DPST is up 57%. That's followed by the Direction Real Estate Triple Leveraged Fund DRN, up 50%. However, we're not looking for gains right now. We are looking for losses. So I will sort this in reverse, and we will let's add more funds to this page. Now these are all blanks just because these are funds that have launched and don't have a track record to meet the 3-month area, but once we scroll down far enough, we will get to our universe. Alright, so here's the worst performing fund over the last 3 months. It is a double leveraged Granite Shares Coin Daily ETF, CONL, followed by the Granite Shares double short leveraged Tesla Daily ETF, TSDD. I'm not looking for any TNs or any leverage products. I just want straight pure equity exposure. So let's find us a fund that we can pull up and do that. So we're scrolling through here. Here's a number of funds that are down over 10% over the last 3 months. You got a lot of, well, here's one that we're familiar with. It's the ACES, the Alps Clean Energy ETF. It's down 12% over the last 3 months. We know there are a lot of funds in the clean energy space, in the thematic space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into ACES. Now this pulls it up into our ETF frames. Again, our table's still down below. For those familiar with the site, this is just an overview frame. It's got $204 million in this ETF, ACES, and it tracks an index of US and Canada listed companies in clean energy. Now I can go through all of these frames here to look into the specific fund, but particularly we are interested in a tool called the Fund Comps tool, which is on Tools and Reports, Fund Comps. So what this tool is going to do is it pulls the equity exposure of long-only portfolios, and it looks at the rest of the fund universe, ETFs, mutual funds, closed-end funds, and it's going to find those funds that have the highest overlap percentage with the fund you're looking at. So I can click into it from this screen. Another shortcut to this tool, ETF Action, Home Office on the left side, Top 50 Comps. It's the same tool. So you'll notice when I click here, it just jumped from our databases down to Top 50 Comps. So the ACES Alps Clean Energy ETF, inception 2018, expense ratio 55 basis points. You can see overlap with itself. It is the highest fund rated in terms of overlap. But now we're going to look at all of the funds below this have the highest overlap in terms of equity exposure. So the First Trust NASDAQ Clean Edge Green Energy Index Fund ETF, that has the second most overlap. It has 28 names in common, 55% overlap. That's followed by the VanEck product Renew RNEW with 38%, the Invesco Wild Hair Clean Energy ETF PBW 29%. So interesting enough, and we'll see this a lot of times in the factor space and the theme space, just as a side note here, there is overlap between these products, but it is always interesting to us at ETF Action that you truly need to look through a portfolio, because although not all of these funds, many of these funds have the words clean energy in their title, there really is a lot of difference between these portfolios, and those will result in very different returns. Another great use for this tool is if you're not just looking for similar exposure for a tax loss, holding period of 30 days, what you could do is you could look for possible ways to lower your fees in your model. So this is a 55 basis point product. Pretty on par with the space from what I know of it, but you can take a look here. You know, the First Trust products is a couple bips higher, the VanEck product's a couple beeps lower, then the Invesco product is, you know, a little bit higher, and so forth. So just another way to evaluate similar funds if you're not looking at strictly classification, but if you're just looking at holdings based similarities and differences between these products. We are looking at ETFs. If I wanted to look at open-end funds, mutual funds, I can pull this in here, give this just a second. The mutual fund space is much larger than the ETF space. So when it's loading this, it is doing the overlap analysis against the entire open-end fund space. And here we are. You can see that the Goldman Sachs Clean Energy Income Fund, Class A share, has the highest overlap here, with 26%, followed by First Hand Alternative Energy Fund. That's followed by the Shelton Sustainable Equity Fund investor class. So not just for ETFs, we do have mutual funds, and I'll continue to remind our user base and anyone that is interested in using ETF Action, we are not just ETFs. We have ETFs, we have mutual funds, we have closed-end funds, we have 20,000+ global securities, foreign and domestic. So if you ever have questions, please reach out to team@etfaction.com. Again, thank you for tuning in. Just as a reminder, I am not a tax advisor. I'm not specialty or specialized in that. If you want to make any investment decisions, we always encourage that you speak to a financial professional or a tax attorney, because we aren't those things. With that being said, I hope everyone has a great rest of the week, and take care.